All righty. So I think we're ready to go. It's 11 o'clock and that's fine. And there we go. So I want to welcome everybody today to DoForms Transformation Day, DoForms in 2021. I don't think we can talk about 2021 without kind of talking a little bit about 2020, very interesting year. Actually, we were hoping to have this event last year in a hotel and never thought that we would not be having it in a hotel this year. But here we are virtually like everybody else in the world today. And we're going to make the best of it. Of course, 2 seconds we started this video, the neighbor's gardener came. So if you hear mowing in the background, that's just, I guess, life. So can't do it, can't do anything about that. I want to talk a little bit about DoForms in 2020 and what we learned about our customers. While other companies in the SaaS space and the subscription space suffered from a lot of cancellations, a lot of postponements, a lot of suspensions, we learned that our customers, they're really out there doing essential work. They're out there working every day. Our customers didn't shut down. They didn't stop working. They kept working. In fact, they kept finding ways to use DoForms in very innovative ways. Things from contactless signature capture to event registration for vaccines and for tests and things like curbside pickup, employee screening and track and trace. Our customers really stepped up and said, how could we use this technology to keep us working in 2020? And for that, we're very grateful. We grew in 2020 as a company, both financially, from a product perspective, personally. So very happy, to hear that 2020 with all of its negatives did not negatively impact DoForms all that much. And we hope that that's the same for all of our customers and our great partners. But going into 2021, we see this as ending. We're all looking forward to a more positive outcome and a very healthy outcome for the rest of the world. And enough about that. Let's start talking about what does DoForms in 2021 look like? Because it's going to be drastically different after today. And I want to give you insight what that's going to be, how that's going to function, and all the great things that we're about to announce and release in the next couple of days. So with that, I'm going to kind of go into 2 themes that I have for this year's presentation. One is called meat on the bone. I think we all heard this term, meat on the bone. And when a product first starts out, there's never meat on the bone, right? You don't have all the experience, you don't have all the features, you don't have everything you need to really provide a robust platform to everybody, but everybody has to start somewhere. And for the last couple of years, DoForms has been working very, very hard to put a lot of things together, a lot of experience, a lot of customer input. I could honestly say that DoForms in 2021 is the result of many, many, many hours of conversations with customers, giving us ideas about new features, even paying for some new features that they needed. And today, I'm proud to say that you can honestly say DoForms has meat on the bone. When you look at our healthcare practice, Lauren Schimmel, our director of healthcare, is going to be talking throughout the day in different sessions about what we can do for healthcare customers today. We've vastly improved over years ago. The DoForms platform today is robust, it's secure. We have tons of pre-built forms. We have knowledge across multiple segments of the industry. Because DoForms doesn't focus on one particular thing, it gives us the ability to learn a lot about a lot of things. We just finished a huge telehealth application in healthcare that reads the results of scales and other devices that could read things like blood pressure for people's homes. And then we collect that data and present it back in DoForms. There's just so many things that have happened in the healthcare space over the last couple of years with DoForms. And even with the COVID stuff, the test registrations, helping customers, get people to those test sites, vaccine registrations, employee screenings, just a lot of things that are now available. There's a lot of meat on the bone for DoForms, and you'll see that throughout my presentation. The next theme that I want to talk about, and everybody's seen the movie, or hopefully everybody's seen the movie, unless I'm really aging myself. It's called the Karate Kid moment. And for years, we've been building pieces. We've been building multiple different functionalities. And maybe at some point, you look at them and you don't understand maybe how they all fit together. But recently, people are starting to understand how they all fit together. We have examples where somebody will turn around and go, hey, that COVID test registration, right? I want to be able to put a form out, embedded in social media, embedded on my website. I want to have the news be able to tell people that they can go to this form and register for a test, right? We have the ability to do that. Our forms are completely scalable. They completely go on any platform that they're opened on. And then, that person registers, and we have the ability to check to see if there's the time slot available. And if the time slot's available, we have the ability to close that time slot if too many people have registered for it. So that interaction between the forms and real time manipulating data on the back end is there. And then we're emailing that person a barcoded gate pass, so to speak, the same thing you would get if you were at the airport with a big QR code in it. And then when they get to the testing center, we have scanning capability with all of our partners, and that QR code could be scanned and the data can be parsed, and then we can print out a label to give to that person to put on the bag so that they have the test results all automatically documented. All of those different pieces, the ability to print a label, the ability to scan a barcode, all the different things that had to come together, all of a sudden came together and allowed us to deliver a solution, a very robust solution, a multi-part solution on what is now a very robust platform. So, one of the things I want to make sure everybody understands is we're not data collection anymore. Data collection is cool. I want to convert my paper form to a digital form. I don't want to use a pencil. I want to use my finger. And there's a lot of companies out there that are in the data collection space, and they have different metaphors, and that's really cool. But we feel that at the end of the day, our customers are benefiting from things like workflow, benefiting from the fact that our customers are typically not integrators or don't want to be integrators. So the fact that we can incorporate things like payment and scanning and printing really makes us a true platform. And especially in the healthcare space, you can't be a HIPAA compliant form. You have to have all the components to be an entire platform. Otherwise, you encrypt a form and nobody else could ever use that data because it would always be encrypted. So you have to have the portals that can unencrypt that data. You have to have the infrastructure that allows everybody else to participate in that data in a secure manner. So I'm going to talk about the biggest change for DoForms for 2021 and going forward. And in the past, we've always been considered to be sort of that company that can do anything. We start from a blank sheet of paper and basically start building a form for you in our tool, and it's whatever we want it to be for you. And we've done that for many years now. And customers come to us, and we have many customers where even if we had a library of 30,000 forms, they would need their own form. Some of the panelists you'll see today, they have very unique circumstances. They're doing really big, important jobs that have very unique requirements, and nobody is going to ever have a pre-built form or a pre-built everything for those people. And that's really important to understand that DoForms was based on that ability to be the most customizable solution out there. So when you start to see the things that I'm going to be talking about today, it's not that we're inventing things like dispatch systems and e-commerce systems for inventory and things of that nature. We're not inventing those. Those things have been out there for years. But DoForms Advantage is that we are clearly the most customizable, the most affordable, the most rapid solution to get to deployment. And it's that customization, it's that ability to satisfy the customer's exact requirements, them not having to learn us learning them, and being able to match the form so that they can eliminate things like lots of training of their employees or hesitancy to use new technology because of the potential learning curves. DoForms' biggest core competency is our ability to really, build what the customer needs. Now, that doesn't mean every customer fits into that mold. So there are scenarios where there's certain forms that can be used repetitively. But clearly, our building blocks for our core competency of mobile forms, you have the layout, right? You can put things next to each other. Well, one of the biggest problems we see with other technologies, our competitors, is they'll say, here's your form. It's one question wide, and then if you want to be able to email somebody a pretty looking form, you build another template. Well, the problem with that is we've integrated so many technologies now that if the form doesn't look like you want it to look, and then we got to re-render it in another way, that's a problem because we have the ability to, let's say, print that form to a full page printer, a thermal mobile printer. Well, you don't want to have to be converting that form to a PDF and then trying to, print the PDF. The other problem is when you convert a form from just being one column wide, because that's all you can do, to something like, hey, now it looks great in a PDF, you see the struggles our competition have had with things like, well, I want that customer to be able to sign the form, but I want them to get the pretty form. Well, you can't sign that. Well, go ahead and add DocuSign to that. Now it's like, hey, you want to charge me a fortune for your form pool, and now I got to pay for DocuSign in order to make somebody sign it. Why can't I just send them the form? All right. So there's a lot of things involved in DoForms that allow you to basically build these very sophisticated workflows. Layout is one of them, because basically that form can look beautiful as a form on a big screen. It could render itself to look like one column at a time on a very small screen. The forms are smart. They have smart layout. So if you want to do workflow, you need to have intelligent layout. One of the things you also need to have when you're doing this is the ability to have special rules and permissions, right? So if you're going to have workflow, you can't have it that you send the customer a form, but they can go in and change the price before they pay by credit card. So you have to have all the rules and permissions that says the employee can fill out the form, put the price in or the job estimate, forward it to the customer can open it. They cannot change the price. They can't change anything we don't want them to change, but they're required to sign and pay by credit card. That's an intelligent system that will manage your workflow for you. And the fact that that customer can open that up on their laptop, their desktop, their phone, their tablet, really allows it to be a device, a technology that you can share outside of your organization where you don't control what technology people are using. The other thing in our basic building blocks, we have containers. We made it easy for people to do things with structures. So, in the inventory space today, you never know if you're going to scan 5 things or 500 things. So something like our table container, it has a new feature called dynamically add rows. So when you get down to the last row, it automatically adds another one for you, and another one, and another one, and another one. And that allows us to do things like be very dynamic when building an invoice. You're not limited to the old paper invoice where you can only buy 5 things because you only have 5 rows on the invoice. That invoice can grow. Our containers, like the repeatable sections, can grow multiple times as you nest the repeatables. So containers, the questionnaires, they just allow customers to accomplish very complex structures really simply. The next thing is, logic. We built a lot of logic into DoForms, and some of the things you're going to see in the rest of the presentations throughout the day is logic can be in terms of making our forms now appear to function like mobile applications. And they do that very well. So things can be hidden, buttons can be clicked and then be hidden, buttons can turn on different things. We can run all kinds of calculations and logic against those calculations. So effectively today, we can make a form look exactly like a mobile application. And with our ability to retrieve and modify data on the fly from other forms, we're doing some really cool stuff. So for years in the form space, people have struggled with electronic timesheets, right? So what do people do in electronic timesheets when it's a digital form? They say, I'm going to leave it on my person's device all day long because the form could calculate when they started, calculate when they ended. I'm going to tie that together, do a duration. And then they say, oh, I want that for the whole week. So what I'll do is I'll try to keep the form open on that guy's device for a whole week and only have them submit it, like on a Friday, right? Well, that's horrible. What if they lose a device? What if they don't work on Friday? It doesn't really solve the problem. But now with Retrieve and Modify, we're able to do really cool things. It's really changed the dynamic of DoForms from a data capture solution only to a full system. So in timesheets, we can actually go and retrieve a record to say, does Joe have a time record for today? No. Okay, then he must have to go on duty, and we only present the on duty button. Joe hits on duty, closes that form up, and goes and posts his on-duty time to a specific record outside of the form he just filled out, all right? So he comes back in at the end of the day and he goes, hey, here's my employee ID. Well, let's go see, do we have a record for Joe for today? We do. Okay, then Joe must have to go off duty. Okay, so let's put Joe off duty. He hits the off-duty button. That's the only thing he sees. We go back and we modify that other record. Now that record has Joe, it has today, it's got his start time, it's got his end time, it's got his calculated duration. And now we run a report against that particular form with that consolidated data, and we get a beautiful electronic timesheet, a payroll report at the end of the week. So Retrieve and Modify has really changed the way data is managed in DoForms. Some of the things you'll see now with data, we can have pre-filtered data sources. So in the past, if you had a data source that was growing, in other words, people were collecting data and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it would be getting harder and harder to distribute that data out to the mobile devices. Well, if that data has something like a completed status or paid status, and you're only interested in seeing the statuses that are not paid, Well, now you can pre-filter your data sources before they ever get moved to your mobile devices, making it very efficient to do those kinds of things. GPS, you're going to learn a lot about GPS throughout the day. You know, GPS isn't just tracking anymore. When you have the ability to know the longitude and latitude of your device, there's an amazing number of things that you can do. You can call Google and say, what's my ETA to the next customer during current traffic conditions? You could say, how many miles is it between here and here? A lot of companies now are doing travel reimbursement based on what Google says is the actual miles, okay? You can do things in GPS like, you know, calculate my route, give me directions for an entire route. You can go and get an address. In the past, we only had the ability to give you a GPS coordinate. So yes, it was great. It was a timestamp. It proved that you were at that location. But how many people are able to look at a GPS coordinate and go, yep, John was at this address on 2 o'clock. Well, now you could actually have the device reverse geocode that set of coordinates and tell you the actual address right built into your form. Security, lots in security. Because of our HIPAA compliance, we have multi-factor authentication, encrypted fields. We have things like secure email, secure form forwarding, secure reporting. You know, you'll hear about that throughout the healthcare presentations today, how important that is, because most of our customers will end up violating HIPAA outside of our system. They'll use our system to collect 100 records for the day, and then they'll send them to a printer or they'll email them to an insurance company for reimbursement. And if they're not going through the process of trying to get a secure email system or something like that, then they basically are violating HIPAA. So we've put all the infrastructure in place to make sure that our customers stay secure and don't have to leave our environment to share their information. Media we've been doing forever, you know, pictures, images, video, and we've really stepped up integration. We have RESTful services now. You're going to hear a presentation later today. I think it's at 3 o'clock on a product called SyncDB, which was built together with a third party that can actually take the structure of a DoForms form and turn it into a relational data script, go to Azure or Oracle, create the database for you, and then continuously populate that data. But what's important about that is now that data is highly analytical. You can use all the available tools that go against relational databases. And it maintains a full audit trail. So if you make changes to your form anywhere in the DoForms platform, those changes are replicated into the database and stored and are easily visible. It also will monitor and manage form changes. So as you change your form or you add fields to your form, it will go in and fix the database for you in Azure or Oracle. So a really great technology by a third party that a lot of our customers will be able to take advantage of going forward this year. And then, you know, it's important. Like I said before, we know our customers are not all integrators. A lot of our customers are just regular people in their companies that know what the problems are and have found products like DoForms to be able to try to solve those problems. Well, since they're not integrators, they're not going to be out there going, okay, I got my data collection platform now, but I want to do payment. Let me go get a payment processor, or let me go buy a printer and I'll figure out how to print from my device, or a scanner or RFID or NFC, or I need a shipping label. I want to support sensors, telehealth. So what DoForms did is we've gone out, we've partnered with the best-in-class companies in the industry. And we basically made it very simple to bring these solutions into your form now. So if you want to do payment with Square, you literally click on the payment widget, you tell it which field has the number you want to charge the customer, where's their email address so you can send them a receipt, and it opens up Square for you and it basically charges, and it gives you back the ability to set a destination field to say that the charge was successful and how much the charge was for. Literally within minutes, you could add payment now, credit card payment into your DoForm. Same thing with printing. We have the ability to full page print. We have the ability to print to barcode labels. You'll hear that throughout the day. If you listen to any of Anthony Trani's sessions today, you'll learn all about what we can do for label printing and barcode scanning. You know, scanning is really cool today. Devices used to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Now you can get devices with laser imagers and be able to scan, high-speed scan barcodes for less money than the price of a normal smartphone or tablet. It's really changed. So if you're a company that wants to be able to do inventory, you want to be able to scan your assets, you want to be able to label your assets so you can scan them and track them. These technologies are not beyond you anymore from a complexity perspective, a price perspective. It's as simple as, you know, contacting DoForms or one of our partners and saying, hey, you know, I'd like to understand how I can do things like scanning, RFID, NFC, print shipping labels, import sensors and do different things. So, we understand our customers are not integrators. We're there to take on that challenge. And many of these things have come about because our customers are asking us to incorporate these features. So I'm going to talk a little bit about healthcare. I'm not going to go into too much detail because Lauren has a bunch of sessions today. If you have healthcare needs in this space, you really want to listen to Lauren. She's been doing this for a very long time now, has built out a beautiful set of pre-built forms, and she's just got a ton of experience in the space. So I'm going to let you listen to her, but I'm going to kind of just go through and talk a little bit about, our building blocks in healthcare, and obviously encryption at rest and encryption in transportation, encryption on the device, being able to put that device down. All of those things are handled by DoForms today. It's handled on the portal. But more importantly, like I was talking about before, is our customers were violating HIPAA by taking our data and just emailing it to somebody or just forwarding it to somebody, or sending a report to an insurance company. And we wanted to solve that problem because we have to sign a business associate agreement. Sometimes our partners have to sign a BAA, and that makes us just as liable whether the customer makes a mistake or we make a mistake. So we wanted to provide the most secure platform that they never have to leave. To give you an example of that, so we have a solution we've built for hospice. You'll see actually one of our panelists at 2 o'clock, Dr. Rosati. We built this for Dr. Rosati over at the Visiting Nurse Association. They wanted to be able to go into a hospital room. They wanted the caregiver to be able to fill out a do not resuscitate form. And in order for that form to be legal, it has to be signed by a doctor. So today they can go in, they can fill out that form, they can pick the doctor off a list. It will send them an email with the secure link in it. They click on that link, it takes them to a secure site. It also emails them a code. They go to the secure site, they put the code in, it has to match their name, it has to match the code. They get one-time access to the form, it takes them right to where they have to sign. They sign it, they hit the button, it goes right back to the caregiver in the patient's room. They're able to effectively finish the form, print it on a Brother mobile thermal printer, and basically hand it to the patient and hand it to the family members. And then all that data goes up into the cloud where it's readily available and nobody's looking for a piece of paper to see if they're supposed to resuscitate somebody when they've got like 2 seconds to make that decision. So, all of these things, the secure forwarding, what's the difference between secure forwarding and email? When you secure email, you're sending them a PDF. When you're secure forwarding, the next person gets to continue to work on that form. So supervisors can approve things and so on and so forth. And then with secure reporting, you can go into our report builder. And since all of your forms that were submitted are encrypted, the only way somebody would be able to look at a report without the data being encrypted is if they looked at it through our secure reporting system. But that secure reporting system allows you to transfer data to third parties, to doctors, to insurance companies. Then you'll see, like, because we're not only in healthcare, we're in other things, we built out a whole scheduling system for the dispatching world, the field service world. Well, we discovered now, especially with things like EVV, that scheduling is important even in the healthcare space. So, but what we found out is they don't really have a dispatcher. There's no healthcare dispatcher. The caregivers typically create their own schedules. The problem is nobody in the back office ever really knows where they're going because it's all on paper, and they only find out about it when it's time to bill Medicare. That's the big thing we've discovered is most of the healthcare systems really only care about billing Medicare to get reimbursed. They kind of left out the other, operational issues. So, our customer came to us and said, hey, we want the caregiver to be able to schedule, excuse me, but we want to see those schedules back into your schedule. So we want the caregiver to do it on their mobile. We want the schedule to automatically show everywhere they're going. And then we want those things to be sent back out to them as a job. And then when they get there, do us a favor and geofence that they got there and that they departed without them having to do anything. And, we were able to take all the things we did for our field service and incorporate it into a scheduling system for caregivers. So the fact that we're into other core competencies, is allowing us to really start to focus out. And I kind of want for 1 second get back to that because one of our core competencies we started out was mobile forms, and that's great. That's our ability to kind of do anything. Our second core competency is the healthcare space. So we have gone full into healthcare. We will now be providing solutions, up to 8 different solutions to start out with just for the healthcare space. And these are basically pre-built. They have all the forms established for them, tons of years of experience built into them. The customers will be able to buy these solutions. You'll be able to take them out of the box and go out and start doing hospice or dental or clinical assessment. So that's the biggest change for DoForms going forward, is that we're starting to put together now a lot of these pre-built solutions based on all of our experiences and based on those Karate Kid moments where we have all the pieces to pull together now with a lot of meat on the bone. And you're going to start to see DoForms really sort of change from just one of those, hey, we can build you a form companies, to, hey, we have the solution out of the box that solves your problem. But most importantly, if your form needs to be a little different or a lot different, or you want a custom form, it doesn't matter. We're the most customizable solution in the industry, so we can still make any of those changes to any of our canned solutions for you at any time. And you'll see that happen. Hospice, there's little changes throughout states throughout the country. So if you have a state that has a different requirement, we can still modify that form easily for you. You don't have to go, oh, I can't use it because it only supports New York or New Jersey. So, let's talk about field service, right? We've had dispatch forever. And, a lot of people will say they have dispatch too, but that's really sort of like a dirty word. Dispatch could be, hey, I can send you a message and tell you 10 things, and everybody claims, oh, we have dispatch, our form's dispatchable. I've actually been in the dispatch space for about 20 plus years now. I did systems for companies like Airborne, DHL, Purolator, where they had 100,000 people dispatching millions of jobs every day to do pickups and deliveries. There's a lot more to dispatch than doing that. You need the devices to be able to automatically tell you the dispatch was received. You need to be able to repeat dispatches, recall dispatches. There's a lot of things that have to happen on that device to make integrity. And just sending simple messages, hey, here's 10 fields. So the thing that makes our dispatch the most robust is on the fly, we can basically build out as much information that dispatcher needs to basically send out to that person as needed. So a lot of dispatch technologies today are like, hey, we have 10 pre-canned fields and you can change the labels and you can send them any 10 pieces of information you want. But, our customers may have to send out information on warranties, on product things, all kinds of different things. So, they want to build custom forms to be able to say, here's everything I need to send to my person in the field. So, with dispatch, it's really, you do require a lot of robustness and a lot of, ability to have integrity. And, our dispatch system is built on 20, 30 years of experience building out dispatch. So, as you see us go into field service, you'll see all the pieces that are starting to come together now from all the years we've been supporting field service companies. So things like being able to do geofencing now. So, in the past, what was the big problem in the past? Everybody has a dispatch system, and then people go to a third-party GPS tracking system and they stick a device up in the ODB port of a truck, right, or a service van. But the problem is that device can say, hey, I just arrived into a location, and there's this system says, hey, I got a geofence arrival. And the dispatch system says, Joe needs to be there at 1 o'clock. But nobody pulls those two things together and say, hey, Joe needs to be there at 1 o'clock. And the system just told me Joe was there at 1 o'clock. You have to almost mentally, visibly pull those pieces of information together. Well, now with DoForms, if you dispatch an address in a form, you could tell DoForms to just watch for that address and automatically populate the form with that geofence arrival as soon as they get there, as well as the fact that as soon as they get there, that geofence goes back to our server as a real event and gets populated into the portal so that you can see the geofence arrival on the map. Now, let's talk about, how do you make intelligent systems? Well, the first thing we figured out is if you're going to capture geofence departures, right, and you're going to update the departure time in the form, there's a little problem there. What if the person goes to the job, fills out their form, hits the submit button happens, it sends your data back, it's off the device, and now you get in your van and you drive away? Well, obviously that's a problem, right? So you can't have that. So DoForms has built in the intelligence to say, hey, even if you depart a location after you've submitted your form, DoForms will go back and post the departure time and the duration that person was at that location into that form, even if it's already been submitted by the user, right? So, we're trying to think through all the things that make this a very easy to deploy solution and a solution with a great deal of integrity. We don't want our customers discovering that particular problem after we've released it. So we've done a lot of work to make sure that these solutions like geofencing are very robust. And you'll be hearing about that more throughout the day. So, once again, the building blocks of having a great solution for field service, we have dispatch. We have dispatch in many ways. You can dispatch from our portal. You can dispatch through our APIs. You can dispatch through our sync and save gateway. You can dispatch through our web services. You can dispatch by importing a file from Excel. You can dispatch by using our scheduler, right? So, our customers don't fit one mold. They fit multiple molds. So basically, as we go forward, we have to have many different options for our customers. Every time we talk to our customers, some need to schedule, some don't. Some have an infrastructure where they want to pull that data from, and it's fine. And basically, we can go and get that data from their systems, or they can push their data to us. Tracking, we've integrated with Google now. So you can see everything on that mobile device. We can turn any mobile device into a full-blown GPS tracking device. Nick Legg, our CIO, will be talking more about our GPS functionality later on today. Very exciting. Nick's been in the GPS tracking space forever. But you're going to find out that, like I said before, GPS, there's a lot more you can do with it than just tracking. But one of the things that we discovered is these devices, these smartphones and tablets, they're great GPS tracking devices. Most devices for tracking that go in vehicles, they were designed to be cheap because they're giving them away now. Here's a free device, stick it in your ODB port. So they got really low CPUs, they got no memory, they don't have a lot of processing power. They're stuck under a dashboard, where there's not a lot of, there's blockage to satellites in the sky and things. So it's not necessarily optimal. Well, you take a smartphone that's got a great processor in it, and a great GPS receiver in it, and all kinds of storage and memory and everything, and we're finding a significant degree of accuracy. I remember in the past with just GPS in a vehicle, we always had a monitor for, hey, I got a reading 700 feet to the left. Did I leave the highway and get on a service road, or am I still back again? Oops, I just warped back in, I'm back on the highway again. We're seeing our tracks coming in and they're dead on the highway. We're seeing that consistently time after time. So we're able to take your devices, and we can do it whether you have a WAN connection or not. So if you set GPS tracking on a DoForms device, and let's say you just dock at the end of the day because you're using a Zebra or a Data Logic device or a Honeywell device or something like that, and you just dock, you use one of their docking scenarios, as soon as they dock, we can send all those tracks up. So even though you may not get that tracking in real time, you can still go back and see that person's breadcrumb trails throughout the day if you don't have a WAN. If you do have a WAN, then you have real-time GPS, and you can look at your map, and you can follow people all around the map, and you can see their speed, and you can see their direction and how many miles they're traveling. But what we really try to do is give you that map with a lot of data. So in our map, you can see battery low conditions on the device. You can see when they woke up. You can see if the device went to sleep, because we can tell our tracking systems not to track during, let's say, weekends and weeknights, so that people aren't being tracked personal time. We can see when they wake up, when they start moving, when they stop moving, when they arrive into locations. You can send statuses back to the GPS map right from your form. So if you were like a gas company and you had to do a made safe because you got the gas leak under control, you could hit a made safe button right in your form and basically send that back to the map. And now everything you're doing is in that map, as well as your timesheet. So somebody can go on their form, they can go on duty. We can send that on duty event right to the map. So now somebody looking at their regular GPS tracking map, they're seeing, hey, my guy's driving, my guy's stopped. My guy's stopped for 20 minutes, my guy's driving again. On the DoForms map, you're like, hey, my guy went on duty. He arrived at had his first dispatch job. He basically opened his form. He basically sent back, I made this safe. He sent back a status, I'm going on lunch. He's doing all these things. He submits his form when he's done. That form icon appears on the map. You can now open up that form right in the map and continue to work on it or see how much revenue you've generated. So because our system comes with a built-in user interface, we're not just a device stuck under a dashboard, we basically have the ability to put a ton of data into our map. So, like I said, you can put custom statuses to that map. You can do basically anything you want now. That device can update that map if that's what you want to do. We talked a little bit about, building electronic timesheets, great timesheet capability now. We're doing the most robust timesheets for people. We're doing travel reimbursement for people. We can calculate the overtime, we can calculate everything, and all that information isn't stuck on the device anymore. It's all populating back. And instead of giving people reports that are like, hey, at 9 o'clock I had an on duty, and 10 o'clock I had an on break, and 10:30 I had an off break, and a report is 14 rows long for one person, we can get that all in one row now by consolidating all that data in the back end in real time, which allows the company to look at that timesheet data form as a dashboard, and you can start seeing when all your employees went on duty just by looking into your system. So a lot of real-time input now, a lot of visibility into what your people are doing in the field. Because of our abilities to do things like scan and label, we're able to do vehicle inventories, we're able to basically do asset tracking. You can label big tools, make sure you put them back on there, RFID, NFC. Our workflow, with DoForms workflow, you could have a dispatcher fill out a form on a server. They send it to the they send it to the worker. The worker puts in an estimate. He asks the customer for an email address. He forwards it to the customer. The customer opens it up. They pay by credit card and sign. They hit a button. It goes right back to the worker. The worker finishes the form. They hit a button. It goes up to the cloud. The accounting department opens up that form from the cloud. They may see a page that nobody else saw because it's restricted to everybody but them. It says for accounting use only. They put some accounting information in. Our sync and save gateway is smart enough to say, don't update, let's say QuickBooks until you got approval by the accounting department. So all of that workflow, all of the management, the rules, the permissions, and how that workflow manages is all built into DoForms. It's all robust, and we could build really sophisticated workflows out for our customers. So, once again, the Karate Kid moments, all these pieces coming together, the ability to do invoicing. Now you could actually collect credit cards right from that customer right there. So literally at the end of the day, what we're seeing here is our field service has a lot of meat on the bone now. We are able to do a lot of different things for our customers and with the most customizable solutions in the industry. I guess we kind of covered a lot of this stuff. I'm going to go into e-commerce. So e-commerce is a new division that we started a couple of years ago. It's a division that has been around for the longest time. So, if you look at a lot of mobile computing today with tablets and cell phones and things of that nature, it's relatively new. But, the big businesses, the big industry, they've been buying these expensive, rugged scanning devices for decades now with big vehicle cradles and all kinds of stuff. And, that industry has a proven set of resellers and a proven set of vendors putting product into that. And we wanted to be able to take advantage of that. And the reason we were able to do that is because all these devices that are out there ultimately moved to Android, right? So prior to Android, every one of those devices used probably a Windows operating system, had to build their own APIs, their own SDKs. If they had peripherals, you had to address each one of them uniquely. Well, now, because they're all based on Android, we basically can support any device that's coming out from these vendors. And they're creating great devices with great battery life, screens you can see, very powerful, integrated features, with lasers, and GPS built into them. But what's even more important is those devices used to be ridiculously expensive. I remember selling them in the 90s, and they could be $3,000, $4,000 by the time you outfitted a device. A lot of times the warranty package was more money than some of the devices are today. Well, that's all kind of changed. Those devices now are more mainstream. They're more affordable. In some cases, they're cheaper than smartphones and tablets. And companies that had inventory solutions but didn't have big IT companies and didn't have a lot of infrastructure internally, but they still have small warehouses and things of that nature, they never really adopted this technology because it was kind of always beyond them. The software was complicated, it was expensive, you needed support people to do it, and it was just a confusing time. And even today, I can tell you, one of the things, we get a new device and they are different than smartphones. They have configuration files and all these different things. And, we look at that world and we say our customer should be able to take that scanner out of the box, that printer out of the box, load DoForms on it. DoForms should be able to identify what they are, and just the customer can start scanning and doing their work. And that's what we've done. That's what we've worked for, and that's what we've accomplished, so that people don't have to have an IT guy in place just to be able to deploy a barcode scanning or an inventory or printing solution. We work really hard to make that the case. So now, when you look at basic building blocks, right? Barcode scanning, NFC, RFID, label printing. It's great. If you want to do a label today, a lot of companies go, oh, we have a template builder. You can learn our template builder, and then you got to set up Bluetooth on here, and you build an application that calls the template. We were like, no, we want to build a label right in DoForms. So now, for things like label printing, you just go into DoForms and you say, hey, I want to print a label. I want it to be 2 columns wide. I want it to be 3 rows. Well, what do you want in the first column, first row? I want a barcode. Well, where do I get the ID for that barcode? Okay, go to this field and get it. What do you want in the next row, the next column in the same row? Oh, give me the price, make it bold. Okay. And literally within 5 minutes, we're able to produce a compound label now, and the customer is able to, print it and continue on. So with that, with our ability now to support all this, we've gotten very heavily into a lot of different solutions. And once again, that's a big difference with the DoForms product line is we're not really focused on only warehousing or only merchandising or only proof of delivery. We've got systems now deployed at large companies, the biggest companies you've heard of, the big names, right? The traditional purchasers of all this technology for the last 2 or 3 decades are all using DoForms today. Not all of them, but a lot of them are using DoForms today. And they're using it for retail. They're using it for warehousing. They're using it for inventory, asset retention. There's a lot of companies out there that have reusable assets. They don't want to lose them. You start sitting there going, hey, we're paying $300-400 for some of these boxes that we ship our stuff in. We want those boxes back. They're reusable. We're starting to do a lot of asset retention, manufacturing, inventory. So we're there. We have the tools. Once again, the meat on the bone theme, a lot of meat on the bone now. We have a tremendous amount of features in DoForms to be able to do things like scanning. I'll give you a quick example. We had a customer said, hey, I want to give you a file that has all the different price changes every day. I want you to be able to have the device that can scan that label that's on the current shelf, check this file. If there's a price change, automatically print a new 2-column, 3-row label. We're able to do that today in under 30 minutes to deployment, right? Because we're able to pull all those pieces together, define what the label layout looks like, incorporate the file right into it, and all of our technology has the built-in ability to do things like, hey, I scanned in an ID, can you compare that to a file? It's all built, it's all there. All those capabilities are there. So you build a table, you drag in a scan into that table, you have navigation, you can tell it to jump around the table so the person never has to take their finger off the scan button. We can check for duplicates, check against templates. We can automatically grow the table as the table needs to grow. We have the ability to put auto print labels right into that table. We can populate that table with other data from files as we bring it in. So literally, we've got all the tools to very rapidly deploy solutions. And once again, this is a big area where we started migrating away from things looking like forms and things looking more like mobile applications. So when you're doing a scanning application or an e-commerce application with DoForms, it looks like an application. You have a thing that says click here to scan, and you're clicking your button and it's scanning and it's growing and it's asking you things, and things are appearing and disappearing just the same way a mobile application would work. That was custom built for weeks and months and costing tens of thousands of dollars. We're doing that now in literally a matter of days. So there's about 2.5 minutes here, maybe 3 minutes left of this 45-minute keynote. If anybody does have a question, I will be presenting throughout the day. I have a session. There's 3 sessions per hour in the next 4 hours. If you're interested in healthcare, please join Lauren Schimmel's Healthcare Solutions. If you're interested in hearing more about our new workforce manager that we're about to announce and the new version 7 that's coming out and all the cool features in that, and please do join our panel. We have a great panel today, 3 great panelists. They really represent different people types, right? So, the different people that approach DoForms and what their job titles and what their functions are in their organizations. I wanted to really give you a wide range of experiences. So the panel is going to be really great. Really jump onto the SyncDB and learn more about that product. That's really going to, help big IT organizations that want to get that data and turn it immediately into, a relational database. And great product. Happy the third party picked it up. And it's an important feature too to talk about the fact that we've got more and more third parties now that are starting to embrace the DoForms platform and build solutions on top of it. And we're really working hard. There's a session today on becoming a DoForms partner, becoming a reseller. Well, when we talk about the platforms that you're going to hear about today, not only are we able to build solutions now, let's say for healthcare, for hospice or dental, but we've made this platform so that our partners can actually build on top of the platform and put their own vertical solutions out. So one of the things that you'll see going forward into 2021 and beyond is our partners now having access to the solution platform so that they can build solutions. They can market those solutions through the DoForms platform, and they can market those solutions through our other partners. So, once again, it's been a pleasure to be the CEO of DoForms and to have so many customers. I personally, I think anybody would attest, I pick up the phone. I love talking to our customers. I learn a ton from our customers. I will never not pick up the phone for a customer. You can always get to me, John Darienzo, pick up the phone and call and ask for me. I love hearing from you. And I can honestly say that our product for the last couple of years has been built by the great input of our customers. So I appreciate everybody on the call here. If you're a new potential customer, we don't hide behind a website. All of our people are right out there. You always have a real person to work with. And that's literally been driven from the top down. We will always be there as a person for you. You don't have to schedule an appointment. You can call our support. You can chat with our people in real time. You can pick up the phone and ask to work with your mobile solutions consultant. You could even ask for me. So nobody in DoForms world should ever feel that they're unsupported. And if you ever do, you just contact me directly. So with that said, I'm going to end the keynote now. And we're going to put a little looping marketplace PowerPoint presentation up. And I'll be back about 15 minutes to talk about what's new in our new version 7.0. Thank you, everybody.